All right. Shalom, shalom. I'm Brother Aaron from Israel, gathering together Ghana. First, I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai. Double honors to my brothers in Israel, gathering together Cincinnati. And today, I'm going to come at you with a class for my brothers and sisters here in Ghana, the Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? And it's kind of going to encompass who Paul was sent to, who Mashiach Yahushua spoke to, and kind of like who the Gentiles are, because there's two types of Gentiles. I know in the Christian church they tell you that we as so-called Negroid, people of Negroid and Indian descent, we are the Gentiles, but you're going to come to find out that that's a lie, because we are the Israelites according to the Bible. We fit the curses that are written of in Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26. So we're going to get right into it. My people of Ghana here, people that scattered on the west coast of Africa, if you watch this video, this is for you, because we came out of the west coast of Africa and was sold into slavery in the transatlantic slave trade. So I'm back here, and if the Spirit bear witness that you know that you're an Israelite and you fit these curses, then this is for you. But if it don't bear witness to you, by all means, you may still watch the video, but it may be known that you will be judged when a Mashiach Yahushua returns. That's who the world calls Jesus Christ. Okay, so get out your pen and paper. We're going to dig right into the scriptures. Get Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. The book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. And it reads, For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So I know in the Christian church they tell you that you're not under the Old Testament and the law is done away with. That's absolutely not true at all. You understand? Things that were written aforetime were written for our learning. You understand? So we have to understand that the things that were written in the Old Testament is what a Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ, when he walked the earth, that's what he was quoting from. That's what the disciples and the apostles and all the prophets were quoting out of. Do you understand? They wasn't quoting the New Testament. It wasn't here yet. Okay. Let me get a precept. I wasn't going to go here, but go to the book of St. John, chapter 5, and let's start at verse 42. Go to the book of St. John, chapter 5, verse 42. It says, But I know you, that ye have not the love of God in you. I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye shall receive. We know who that is. That's white Jesus. Caesar Borgia, that's his real name. Verse 44. How can ye believe which ye receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Speaking of himself. Verse 45. Do you think I will accuse you to the Father? There is one that accuseth you, talking about Satan or the devil, even Moses, in whom ye trust. Even Moses. For had you believed Moses, meaning had you believed the Old Testament, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, if you ain't looking at the Old Testament, you ain't looking at Moses' writings, how shall you believe my words? Now those are written in red. Mashiach Yahushua wrote those in red. That's who's speaking. That's who you would call Jesus Christ. So he said, but if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So my brothers and sisters here in Ghana and those who may be watching worldwide, how you know where you're going if you don't know where you come from? You're going to make the same mistakes over and over again. But we were taught in slavery and captivity, being scattered throughout all these other nations, that don't worry about the past, forget about slavery. Then your history starts in the 1960s. And then you call yourself African American. Around 1985, Jesse Jackson coined that term. And I'm older than my nationality, because before then I was called colored, or Negro, or Afro-American. You see what I'm saying? But we the Israelites. All right, go to Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5. So you're going to have to look into the Old Testament to find out who you are. so-called Old Testament, because this is all one book. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 5. Going into the Gentiles. First, I want to start off, just follow me in the precepts. You understand? According to Isaiah 28 and 10, precept must be upon precept. So if I'm here, Genesis to Revelations all over the Bible, it's because that's how you read the Bible to get the secrets. All right, Proverbs 30 and verse 5, and it reads, every word of God is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. So we're reading this Holy Bible. We're reading from Genesis to Revelations. Even Salakia in the Apocrypha. These are 14 books that were removed out of the 1611 King James Version Bible. So these books is actually, this book here is actually the Greek captivity. And that's kind of going into our class today. So I'll be coming out of this book as well. All right. So let's move right along. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 7 now and verse 6. We're going to see who the Most High is talking to in this Bible from the front all the way to the end. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. As a matter of fact, get Deuteronomy 1 and 1 first. Go to Deuteronomy 1, verse 1. Then we'll go back to verse 7, chapter 7. So the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. You hear that? On this side of Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel and Laban and Hazeroth and Dizahab. So Moses is speaking to who? Israel. He's not speaking to the Chinaman, the Japanese man, the Caucasian man. You understand? The Arab man, the Indian man, no, East Indian man, Salakia. He's not speaking to them. He's speaking to who? Israel. Now get Deuteronomy 7, verse 6 now. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Verse 7, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he have sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So the Most High said he loved Israel. He didn't say he loved the world. He loved the nation of Israel. That's you people of Negroid and Indian descent. Those who were scattered in the four corners of the earth in slave trades. You understand? Let's go to the New Testament to show you that the Most High still loved Israel. There ain't no spiritual Israelites. You can't be no spiritual Chinese. You can't be no spiritual Caucasian. How you going to be a spiritual Israelite? This lets you know that everything that we've been taught is a lie. Romans 9 and verse 13. Let's read it. And this is the Apostle Paul speaking. As it is written in Malachi chapter 1. Jacob have I loved. You hear that? But Esau have I hated. The Most High say he still loves Jacob, if you want to call this the New Testament. Ain't nothing changed. The Most High is the same today, yesterday, and forever. He don't change. If he did, the sons of Jacob, meaning Israel, will be consumed. We will be no more. But for that cause, the Most High say he don't change. Matter of fact, let's get that. Get Malachi, the book of Malachi, chapter 3. I think it's verse 6. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6. It says, for I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob, are not consumed. He's speaking to Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, who had 12 sons. This Bible speaking to the Israelites, you understand? Then that's what I want our people here in Ghana to understand. So we're going into the Gentiles. Get Romans chapter 11 now, verse 1. Because a lot of Christians love to go to Romans chapter 11, right? We're going to break this down, but I'm going to be going back and forth. But you're going to get the picture. Romans chapter 11, verse 1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid. That means no. No, No, ain't no spiritual Israelite. There's real Israelites here on the planet. Matter of fact, hold that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. There's going to be a lot of precepts coming out today, okay? A lot of precepts. Go to the book of Ecclesiastes, Salakia. Let me get there. And let me see where I want. Chapter 3, I believe it is, I want. If I can find it here. Ecclesiastes after Proverbs. Let's see. Salakia. Come on. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, is it verse 15? Let's see here. Nope, that's not what I want. Anyway, I think it says there's no end to all the people. So that's in Ecclesiastes. I thought it was chapter 3, verse 15. I'm a little off on my precepts today. But if you're watching this video, it is in Ecclesiastes. I think it's in chapter 4. I just have so many precepts to bring up. Let me see if I can find it here. Salakia, I got it. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 16. There is no end of all the people, even all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this is vanity and vexation of spirit. There's no end of all the people. You got the so-called white man out there talking about the Edomites they done away with. No, the Edomites is great judgments coming to them, according to the book of Obadiah, Malachi, many books, Revelation. You understand? They're not done away with. Esau, Edom is the so-called white race. The Caucasians are Edomites. Their blood show forth through their skin. They're red, according to Genesis 25 and 25. Okay. Let's go back to Romans 11, verse 1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite. You hear that? Of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So even Apostle Paul is letting you know that he's an Israelite as well. Let's read on. God have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Woe ye not that the scriptures say of Elias, that he maketh intercessions to God against Israel. That's who he saying. Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer God unto him? Watch this. I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, meaning the Most High had many, even though Ezekiel thought he was by himself, 7,000, the number 7 means completion. Doesn't necessarily mean 7,000. Means the Most High had other prophets waiting, though Ezekiel thought he was by himself. Right? He said, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And right now at this end time, we, the hopeful elect, hopefully we thinking, even myself, hoping that I am one of the remnants of the Most High God, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it said the elect. Let's get who the elect is. Go to Isaiah chapter 45 now, verse 5. The book of Isaiah chapter 45, verse 5. Because this Bible ain't talking about everybody. It's talking about one particular people. You men and women and children of Ghana, if you're watching this. So Isaiah 45 and 5, and it reads, Salakia, 45 and 4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect. And Israel mine elect. So the elect that the Bible is speaking about is the nation of Israel. You people of Negroid and Indian descent. All right? Let's go over to Romans 10 now. Go over to Romans 10, verse 1. The book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. So Paul went to the Gentiles, right? But who is he talking about here? Israel, right? Verse 2, for I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they be ignorant of God's righteousness. It say the Israelites are ignorant of God's righteousness. We're going to get that next. And going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. Let's get the righteousness of God. Go to Psalms 119, verse 172. Moving right along. The book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 172. And it says, my tongue shall speak thy words, for all thy commandments or righteousness. All thy commandments or righteousness. But yet you in these churches today, in these pastors that have been set up by the so-called white man from slavery time, from the time of slavery, are teaching our people that the law is done away with. Therefore, we become a lawless people, and God is only dealing with those who keep the laws. You understand? So righteousness is keeping the commandments. Let's get another precept. Deuteronomy 6, verse 25. We're just going to magnify what we just read in Psalms 119, verse 172. So Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25. And it reads, "It shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he had commanded us." You understand? All these commandments. All these commandments. There's over 613 commandments in this Bible. Not 10. There's over 613. You got ceremonial law. You got civil law. You got moral law. You got the dietary law. You got sacrificial law. You understand? There's more. Please. That's why you must read the Old Testament. Read your history. So-called black man, black woman. Hispanic man, Hispanic woman. Read your history. All right, let's go to Romans now, chapter 11. Go back to Romans, chapter 11. We're going to read verse 25. Romans 11, verse 25. All right. And it reads, "For I would not, brethren," see, Paul is speaking to his brothers. According to Romans 9 and 1, he'll let you know his brothers are the Israelites. He says, "that ye should be ignorant of this mystery." We're going to come and touch this again, but I'm going to read it on anyway. "Lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happening to Israel." Do I want that now? No. Salakia. We're going to drop that. I'm going to come back. Go to Isaiah 45:17. Let me input this one. Isaiah 45:17. Because we're talking about Israel, and we're going to talk about, we already established that Paul is talking about his brothers, Israel. But we're going to dig into that even more. Because we know Paul was sent to the Gentiles. Peter also went to the Gentiles as well, with Cornelius. But we're going to see who they are. Isaiah 45, and what I want, 17. It says, "But Israel," this is a prophecy, "shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end." That world in John 3:16 is talking about the world of Israel. It's time for us to wake up and read and ask the Most High to give us understanding. Because we don't all have understanding. We can read, but are we getting the understanding? John 3:16, when he started John 3 and 1, the conversation is between two Jews. Amashak Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ, and Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. So when you go down to John 3:16, it's not talking about everybody. He's talking about the world of the Jews. Come on now, let's put our thinking caps on. We got to come out of these whorehouses or these temples or these churches, as you call it. Right? So the world of Israel is who we're going to save. Right? Let's continue on because we have a lot of precepts here. All right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 4 now, verse 23. Go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 23. Okay, I'm just going to read. And it reads, "Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make ye a graven image or the likeness of anything which the Lord thy God hath forbidden thee." And all those images of that white boy, you got all, so-called white boy, you got all through Africa, America, all over the world. The Most High God say he hate that. Verse 24, "For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. When thou shalt begat children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or a likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy God, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day." Talking about you Israelites. It says, "that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over the Jordan to possess it. We're not in our land today. It says, ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hand, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. And that's talking about that wood, talking about that Christian cross, and stone talking about that rock, which is in Mecca. And as you know, most of our people are in two major religions: Christianity, wood, and Islam, the rock. This is only talking about one people. You'll come to figure that out as we continue on in the precepts. All right, let's move on. Let's get Deuteronomy 28 now and verse 15. Reason I know the class is about the Gentile, but I'm establishing something. Just follow me. We're establishing Israel in the Bible, from the Genesis, from Deuteronomy as we read, all the way right now to Romans, but it's throughout the whole entire Bible. Right? So go to Deuteronomy 28 now, and let's read verse 15. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So we understand that we got scattered according to Salakia. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 26. 26, 27, we got scattered into all nations. Why? Because we didn't keep God's commandment according to Deuteronomy 28. Now we're going to read a curse, right? Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And when you get scattered, right, you forget your nationality, you forget your culture, normally, but that is truly what happened to Israel, according to Jeremiah 17 and 4. Now let's read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And it says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Wood and stone. You hear that? Talking about you so-called people of Negro or the Indian descent. You so-called African American, Hispanics, Puerto Rican, Seminole Indians, Ghanaians, Nigerians. The main thing we into is Christianity and Islam. It's all over, everywhere in our land. That's what's happening. Wood and stone. Most High say don't make no images and bow down to it. You got that Christian cross you bow down to, and then you got to make that Hajj over to Mecca to be considered a real Muslim, and put your hand in that rock once you walk around it however many times. It's an abomination. I hate to even go into it. It makes me so upset. But we have to, the edification of our people. Now, let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 68 to see how we got scattered. Let's see who was scattered and how we were scattered. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. That word Egypt means it's synonymous with bondage, captivity, slavery. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, slavery, again with ships. Now you got an imposter that's in the land of Israel today. According to Zechariah 9, he in the land today. Were those people ever scattered around all nations? Watch this. And they were sold on slave ships. You ask yourself, and you know the history, who are the only people that were scattered around the world on this planet? Only one nation in slavery on slave ships. Hold on, we're not done yet. It says, and the Lord thy God shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Meaning we'll never see our homeland again. And there, once you get off the slave ships, ye shall be sold unto your enemies. So you people running around with last name Diego, Corrales, Johnson, Jackson, those are your enemies. That'll be your former slave masters that had you in slavery until they released you. like a leash on a dog. You understand? It says, for bondmen and for bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That word buy there means save or redeem. And nobody has redeemed us out of America. Nobody has redeemed us out of parts of East India. Nobody has redeemed us out of China, Japan, Europe. You hear that? We all over the world, scattered in all nations. Nobody has redeemed us. Only one's going to redeem the nation of Israel. So you people of Negro and Indian descent that went on to slavery, because some people think that the Native Americans in America didn't go into slavery. They were the first to go into slavery on slave ships in the 1400s. Okay? Shipped out of the Americas to Europe and all other nations. Then they came and got us from over in the west coast of Africa and shipped us all around the world. Who are they? So-called white men. That's who the they is. The one that you got the last name of and repping their name. Talking about, I represent Johnson. I'm the Johnson. You represent a curse. That's a curse. Your name is not Johnson. Okay. Now let's get Isaiah 22 and 17. Just going into some more stuff. How did we get into slavery? How were we scattered around the planet, right? Through slavery on slave ships. You got somebody in Israel today that you can't find no history or pictures of that was scattered in slavery. Think about it for a minute. Calling themselves Israeli. They're not even calling themselves Israelites. They don't fit any curse or prophecy in this Bible, except being the wicked, according to Malachi chapter 1 and Romans 9:13 and other scriptures, Job 27. It's many. Proverbs 16 and 4. They the wicked. And they the people who, and listen to me, the so-called Jewish man is the man who financed our slave trade. That's who financed the transatlantic slave trade. As a matter of fact, he owned more slaves than any European. Only thing he did was change his name when he got to America. Instead of his name being Cohan or something, he changed it to Anderson to hide who he is. So the Jewish man that sits in Israel ensured that we couldn't read for over 200 and some years. So we become lowly beasts and didn't know our heritage or culture. But see, the Most High is waking us up in these last days. That's why we the hopeful elect. We hope that that we do enough where we can enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right, let's get it. Isaiah chapter 22, verse 17. It says, behold, the Lord will carry thee away with a mighty captivity and will surely cover thee. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. You hear that? How do we get to the Americas? In those slave ships rocking back and forth, and he threw us in these countries. Many of us died. Over 150 million to some estimates. So this Bible talking about us, man. Let's get okay. So that's us being the captives, right? Now, how did we get into captivity? When did we go into captivity as a nation? Now, you know we come out of Egypt. We were not yet Israel, right? There we were, Salakia. Forgive me. So I'll just start with that. We were in the Egyptian captivity. Then we went into, after the Egyptian captivity, you had the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Southern kingdom being in Judah, northern kingdom called Israel. You're going to read that throughout the Bibles. You can go to 1 Kings chapter 11 and see the split there, right? Then the northern kingdom, which was in the land of Samaria, went into captivity under the king of Assyria. Right? They were out of the land of Israel, and only the three tribes at the bottom, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, remained. Then those three tribes went into the Babylonian captivity, the Medo-Persian captivity, the Greek captivity, which were missing, the Roman captivity, and then most all of us went into, what was the first one? Sub-Saharan slave trade. That's the Arabs. Silk Road slave trade. That's the Orient, or the China and all those Oriental nations trading with Rome around the 7th to 9th century AD, putting our people into slavery there. And then, of course, you had the transatlantic slave trade. Do you understand? All nations have been against us trying to get us into captivity for a very long time. That's why when you read Psalms 83, it lets you know who your enemies are, who God's enemies are, because we are God's people. But they accomplished their task in the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? And let's get the scripture to let you know that we got scattered into all lands. Get Luke chapter 21, verse 20. This is a prophecy when the Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ, walked the land. Luke 21, verse 20. And it reads, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not." He's talking about 65, 66 AD. When the Romans with Titus and Vespasius surrounded Jerusalem, cut off the water, cut off everything, and let us starve ourselves out. That was called a battle of Masada. But see, you will read that and think that's talking about two white men fighting each other. No, that's talking about you, so-called black man, black woman, that was in Europe at the time. Salakia, that was in Jerusalem at the time. King Herod was a so-called Idumean, which is another name for Edom, which is the same as a so-called Caucasian, set up by Julius Caesar of Rome. You get it? King Herod was not our people. He was an Edomite, a so-called white man today. That's who he would be. Married to a so-called black woman. All right, let's read it again. Luke 21:20. This is a Mashiach Yahushua, you call Jesus Christ. He's prophesying about the future. "And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains." The mountains would be in the wilderness toward Egypt and northern Africa. "And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance," meaning the so-called Romans was coming against you so-called black people in Jerusalem. And it says, Slakia, "For these be the days of vengeance, and all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them which are with child, and to them and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be a great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people." I spoke of that in the battle of Masada. They starved us out, cut the water supply off. And then you had Israelites going inside of Jerusalem, killing each other, eating the children, all of this. It was terrible for us. Here's the key though, verse 24. "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations." I ain't never seen no Jewish man, so-called white boy in Israel, being led away captive on nothing, on no slavery, on no pictures, paintings, into all nations. "And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled." The times of the Gentiles are going to be fulfilled when the one you call Jesus Christ, when he come back. So who in the land today? Gentiles. That's our first time we spoke of Gentiles all this class. Who's in the land of Israel? Who don't fit no curses? Who got the most? I say he's going to kick us out of the land. We will not see our homeland again. Deuteronomy 28:68. Mashiach Yahushua, you call Jesus Christ, said we're going to be scattered into all nations. Have you seen the dude with the little curly things and the black hair and the black suit and all that? Have you seen them scattered into all nations? No, these people from a certain particular place. Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Czechoslovakia, Dagestan. You hear it? What about, ain't nobody come out of Africa? Every word of God is pure. You understand? He said all nations. They don't fit the prophecy. They'll be the Gentiles according to Luke 21:24. They are the Gentiles. All right. Now, let's tell you how we became Gentiles. We already talked about it. We got scattered into all nations, start serving wood and stones. Christianity and Islam. We're not calling ourselves Israelites. We're not calling ourselves the Jews. Our nationality is gone, right? So the Most High has accomplished his punishment on us by sending us into slavery in all nations. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Show you that I told you there's really three sets of Gentiles, but we're just going to get into us being Gentiles right now. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. It says, now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, we know that Paul, brethren, are Israelites according to Romans 9 and 1, down to verse 4. It says, ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Carried away. Carried away. How you get carried away? Into slavery, into captivity, into what dumb idols? Wood and stone primarily. Christianity and Islam. Let's get Ephesians now. Go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 2. And let's see here. Verse 11. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. And it reads, wherefore remember that ye being in times past, what times past? Through all the captivities I already spoke of. Through the Babylonian captivity, Assyrian captivity, Medo-Persian, Greek, Rome. Those captivities. We were acting like the Romans, acting like the Greeks, acting like the Medo-Persians, acting like the Babylonians. Now we acting like we Americans and Europeans or wherever we at. He said, ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. So we were being called Gentiles by the southern kingdom, who was in, when Paul walked, this is before Luke 21:20. This is in between when a Mashiach Yahushua died, who you call Jesus Christ, and 66 AD, 65 AD, right? This is right in between that time. So Paul is prophesying. So the uncircumcision was being called Gentiles by the circumcision. Imagine, just put that in your mind. Who are the uncircumcision? Those be the ones who were scattered into slavery through all the other captivity. Paul was going out to teach the Israelites who lost their nationality, lost their heritage by being scattered into all nations. He wasn't teaching the Chinese man, the Japanese man. He wasn't teaching Ammonites, Moabites, Edomites, Canaanites. Those are natural enemies. Wake up, Israel. Paul was teaching those who were scattered throughout captivities and slaveries. Even the Mashiach in Luke chapter 4. Let's get that. Get Luke chapter 4, verse 16. Let's see what a Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Christ. Let's see, he was prophesied about the gospel. Let's get it. Luke chapter 4. Let's start at verse 16. And it says, and he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. I know that didn't say Sunday. As his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. So he reading the Old Testament, as you would say. And when he opened the book, he found the place where it was written. Listen to this. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he have anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. Good tidings, right? Let's see who the poor is. He have sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, to preach deliverance to the captives, to preach deliverance to the captives. Who are the captives? The Israelites who were scattered in the Greek, Medo-Persian, Babylonian, Assyrian captivities, Egyptian captivities. He's speaking to his people. We the captives, and we're captives today. America will not let the so-called Negroid and Negroid man go. He won't let us go. Think about it. And it says, and recovering of sight to the blind, meaning letting you know that you're the nation of Israel. Not no nigger, Negroid, African American. You ain't none of that. To set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Forgive me if I'm getting excited. You can find that gospel that he read in Isaiah 61. Mashiach Yahushua, you calling Jesus Christ, he only quoted the prophets. He never put no new quotes in his mouth. He has been prophesied from Genesis to his time, all the way through Revelations after he left and went back up to the heavens. So he's quoting Isaiah right now. All right? All right, let's get the Gentiles in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is the Zondervan Compact Dictionary, right? Let's get the word Gentile. And it reads, Gentile. Usually it means a non-Israelite people. Usually it means a non-Israelite people. But we just went through a ton of precepts and scriptures to let you know that Israel got scattered into all these nations and started serving other gods, wood and stone, primarily, and became Gentiles. You get that? We became Gentiles. That's why Ephesians 2:11, 1 Corinthians 12:2 lets you know that we, in times past, became Gentiles in the flesh. So there's one set of Gentiles. Now let's get into the other set of Gentiles. Go to Genesis chapter 10 now. We're going to start at verse, let's start at verse 1. Genesis 10:1. Because a lot of the Christian church love to jump right here and don't realize there's many Gentiles in the Bible. But let's read it. Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. These are the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Medea and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Taras, right? And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. How you going to be a Jew and be Japhetic at the same time? Hey, somebody put their thinking cap on, because Ashkenaz means Ashkenazi Jew, right? So you a Japhetic, Shemitic person. It's impossible. Let you know lies have been perpetuated for a very long time. Now you see your eyes being opened by the prophets, right? And it says, and Raphat and Togarmah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodan. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. So right here is letting you know that Japheth was known as isles of the Gentiles. But were the Japhetic people, were they the only ones known as Gentiles? Turn your books to Jeremiah now. Go to the book of Jeremiah. Go to chapter 46. And we're going to start with verse 1. Book of Jeremiah 46, verse 1. Let's see precept upon precept. And it reads, the word of the Lord which came to Jeremiah to prophesy against the Gentiles. Verse 2, against Egypt, saying, the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the fourth year of Joachim, the son of Joshua, king of Judah. So it's identifying the Egyptians now as Gentiles. Jump up to Genesis 47, verse 1. The word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah, the prophet, to prophesy, Salakia. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah, the prophet, against the Philistines before the Pharaoh smote Gaza. So now we're talking about the Philistines. So we're talking really about Canaanites. The Egyptians, the Philistines, these are Canaanite nations, which come out of the seed of Ham. Verse 48. Salakia, chapter 48, verse 1. Jeremiah, chapter 48, verse 1. Against Moab, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. So now he's talking about Moab, who be the so-called Chinese man, right? Of today. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 1. Concerning the Ammonite. So he prophesying against Ammon now, right? Who is Ammon? Be the so-called Japanese man, right? Chapter 50, Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 1. The word of the Lord, he spake against Babylon. Who is Babylon? Be the Ethiopians, right? That's who the Babylonians are today. Cushites, Ethiopians. So the Most High prophesied against all these nations. And let's read Jeremiah chapter 46, verse 1 again. the word of the Lord which came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Gentiles. So it wasn't all the only Japhetic people that were called Gentiles. Also, these other nations outside of any nation outside of the nation of Israel is a Gentile. You understand? No matter where you from, where you at, you are a Gentile or a heathen. That's a non-Israelite. But we were also called Gentiles. Why? Because we got scattered in slavery for disobeying God's law, statutes, and commandments, and we became like the other nations, worshiping their gods, white Jesus, Caesar Borgia, Allah, that rock over in Mecca. You understand? Buddha, Krishna, whatever we're in. That's not our, we don't have a religion. These laws, statutes, and commandments, that's our doctrine. That's our wisdom. So-called black and Hispanic man, you people of Ghana. Now we're going to go to the Apocrypha. The book I was telling you that got these 14 books that were removed. Go to 1 Esdras chapter 8 if you have the Apocrypha. And let's get verse, let me see here, verse 69. 1 Esdras chapter 8, verse 69. This is in the Greek captivity. It says, the nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people. You hear that? We never mingle with other people of the land, nor the pollution of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, that's you so-called Africans, the Hittites, and other parts of Africa, Pharisites, Africa, Jebusites, Africans, and Moabites, Chinese, Egyptians, Africans, and Edomites. Who were the Edomites? Same one that set us up, put us in slavery, so-called Caucasian, so-called white man who's red by nature, according to Genesis 25:25. So it ain't just the so-called Japhet, well, not so-called, it ain't just Japhet that's being called Gentiles. All nations, even you the white man, everybody is Gentiles if you're not an Israelite. And then some Israelites are Gentiles. Matter of fact, all of us out here today that don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments and know that Christ is a so-called black man coming back to redeem his people, you in a Gentile state of mind, so you will be a Gentile. So what's happening today is the same thing happened in the book of Acts. You got our brothers out here and sisters trying to wake up the nation of Israel, letting them know they must come back, keep God's law, statutes, and commandments, repent, and believe on his son. You have to have all of that. A Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ. All right, let's go into Paul right now. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 16. And I didn't mean for the class to be so long, but we're going to try to wrap it. I'm going to try to speed up on the scriptures. So we're going to 2 Peter right now, chapter 3, verse 16. A lot of Christian churches, a lot of our pastors, our brothers that are of Negro and Indian descent, they love to run to Paul. Paul went teach the Gentile. We're going to dig into that. First Peter's, Salakia, 2 Peter's chapter 3, verse 16. Salakia. Is that what I want? Yes. And it says, as also in all his epistles, all of Paul's books, speaking in them these things in which are some things hard to be understood, like there's neither Jew nor Greek, the Gentiles, because you know why it's hard to be understood? The Most High understood that the so-called white man was going to remove these books. Now you go straight from the Roman captivity. No, Salakia, from the Medo-Persian captivity, you go straight to the Roman captivity. Then the Bible, they calling us Jew nor Greek, because the Greek captivity is here. The Maccabees. You understand? That's who delivered us out of the Greek captivity. Read. And it says, in which some of these things be hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned, right, and unstable, wrestle, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. So brothers and sisters, if you don't follow this class and you feel like you're not really catching the precepts, pray to the Most High and watch this video over and over again. Write these precepts down. The Most High will give you understanding. If you sincerely want understanding and you're not scoffing, The Most High will give you understanding. Let's get Acts chapter 13. We're going to go through a couple of precepts to show you who Paul was teaching. Not only Paul, all the disciples. Acts chapter 13, where I want to start at. Let's start at verse 14. Acts 13:14. And it says, but when they departed to Perga, they came into Antioch in Pisidia, in Pisidia, and went in the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down. So Paul was going into the synagogues on the Sabbath day, not Sunday. The only reason that Paul went on Sunday is to collect money, because we don't do no money transactions or anything on the Sabbath day. Some of y'all got the precept that Christians know what I'm talking about. That's the scripture that they use. No, Paul was teaching every Sabbath. Let's move on. Drop down. Let's read Acts 13:42 now and 43. And it says, when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles, who were the northern kingdom and some of the southern kingdom brothers that didn't know who they were, it says, besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews, which will be the circumcision, and religious proselytes followed Paul, Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of God. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city to hear the word of God. So we wasn't dealing with no Sunday. We were dealing with Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Saturday means Sabbath. Now you pack these harlot houses every Sunday. Worship of the sun with a white boy stuck up there named Caesar Borgia, claiming him. We got to wake up. Caesar Borgia, that's who you've been worshiping. That's who your mother worshiped, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, and your great-great-grandmother since slavery. All right. Let's get now Acts chapter 18, verse 1. Go to the book of Acts chapter 18, verse 1. I just wrote a few precepts down. It's more than this, but we're just reading who Paul went to, Barnabas, even Peter, who they went to, and who they spoke to. Acts chapter 18, verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens. So we know he in the land of what we call Europe today. And came to Corinth and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla. Watch this. Because that Claudius is the emperor, right? White boy, Roman, Italian, had commanded all Jews depart from Rome. Even at that time, before we got kicked out in 70 AD, they was trying to kick us out the whole time after Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ, died. And it came unto them, verse 3. And because he was the same craft, he abode with them and wrought by their occupation, they were tent makers. Verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks, the circumcision and the uncircumcision. Let's get Acts 18 and 19 now. And it reads, and he came to Ephesus and left them there. But he himself entered into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. So you see the Acts of Paul. Who is he reasoning with? Jews and Greeks, the same people. One people won't talk to the other because they're not keeping the commandments of God. You understand? In idolatry. We're going to get that too. Let's get Acts 18 now, verse 26. And it says, he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom, when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly. You understand? Because Paul had just been converted. Though he was wise, but it was still more to let you know that even though you wise in this truth, the Most High will send other people who are wiser than you. You're not always the wisest. All right, let's get Acts 21:20. Acts chapter 21, verse 20. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are zealous of the law, right? That's what they were teaching. The disciples were teaching the law. The law ain't done away with. They were teaching the law. Verse 21, and they are informed of thee that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses. So who we were teaching? We were teaching those blacks and Hispanics who were scattered amongst the Romans, the so-called white men, teaching them the laws of God. What we're trying to teach you today, to keep God's commandments and belief on the Mashiach Yahushua. Keep his high holy days in Leviticus 23. Keep all of his customs. Come out of Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. Those things that were given to you by your oppressor. That's what we're trying to teach. And that's what we're going to teach, God willing. Let's get John chapter 7, the book of St. John chapter 7, verse 35. We're wrapping it up. The book of St. John chapter 7 and verse 35. Now this is when the Mashiach Yahushua was walking the earth, who you call Jesus Christ. And it reads, make sure I got the right book. Yes. And it reads, Salakia. I know I got the right precept here. John 7 and 35. Let's see. Yes. Salakia. The book of St. John, chapter 7, verse 35. It says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall find him not? Talking about Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ. Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Who are the dispersed? Let me see. Babylonian captivity, Medo-Persian, Greek, Rome. Hey, we've been talking about it the whole time. Those are the dispersed. So even before the book of Acts, Mashiach Yahushua, our people were asking, is he going to go teach the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach what we call them the Gentiles? Precept must be upon precept. Now let's go to the book of Acts chapter 26 now, verse 4. This is the end of Apostle Paul's life, right? He talking to the ruler here. We're going to read it. Acts chapter 26, let's start at verse 1. Then Agrippa, no, we're going to start at verse 4. So Paul is speaking to Agrippa, right? It says, my manner of life from my youth, this is verse 4, which was at the first among my own nation at Jerusalem, known of all the Jews, which knew me from the beginning, if they would testify that after the most straitest sect of our religion, I lived a Pharisee. We know that Saul, he was a Pharisee when he was called Saul. And he says, now I stand and I'm being judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers, Like it reads in 1 Corinthians 12, 1 Corinthians 10. Our fathers. Watch this. Unto which promise our 12 tribes, not all nations, God love everybody, our 12 tribes instantly serving God day and night, hope to come, for which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews. So Paul is being accused of what? Teaching the other 12 tribes to come back and keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Those who were scattered in all these captivities. You hear that? That's the truth. And the truth shall set you free. Let's get Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. Book of Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Jesus said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit on the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. You hear that? That's out of the one you call Jesus. He didn't say I was going to judge the world. He is going to judge the world, but he's letting them know you're going to judge your brothers and sisters. So where's the 12 tribes of Israel today? All right, let's get John chapter 4, verse 6 now. I'm going to show you two distinctions of Gentiles here, and how we interacted with the true Israelites interacted with both Gentiles. Let's go to the book of John chapter 4. I'm going to try to be quick because we're going to get out of here. Book of John chapter 4, let's start at verse 6. All right. This is Christ, Mashiach Yahushua. It said, now Jacob well was there. Jesus therefore, being weary with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria, meaning northern Israel. Southern Israel was Judah. Northern Israel was Samaria. Right? And to draw water. Jesus saith to her, give me to drink. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, ask the drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealing with Samaritans. Because in the split in 1 Kings 11, northern kingdom set up 2 golden calves in their land. And Dan was the priest up there. When we know that God only ordained the Levites to be the priest of Israel. So they went off. And then, of course, if you read Isaiah chapter 9 and chapter 7 and chapter 9, we know that God made them not a people first. So the northern kingdom become not a people. Those are the Gentiles that are Mashiach Yahushua, the disciples, and everybody was dealing with when a Mashiach Yahushua walked, and in the book of Acts and so on and so forth. We were dealing with our northern kingdom brothers. She is now from the northern kingdom, a residue left over in the land after the king of Assyria took the northern kingdom out. But still we had Israelites there in the northern kingdom, whether they be Zebulun and Naphtali, because those lands were called the land of the isles of the Gentiles. Anyway, let's read on. And it says, verse 10, Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knowest the gift of God, he's talking to her, right? Give me to drink. Thou wouldst asked of him, and he would have given thee living water, meaning he'd show her the truth, right? The woman say unto him, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence hast thou that living water? Watch what she said. Art thou greater than our father Jacob? What did she say? Art thou greater than our father Jacob? To let you know that the northern kingdom and southern kingdom was split. That's the mystery of the so-called New Testament. That's the mystery of the Bible. That the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will bring the northern and southern kingdom back together again at the very end and rule this planet. That's the mystery of the Gentiles. That the northern kingdom was separated from the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom will be Judah, Benjamin, and Levi was calling the other brothers who were calling themselves Greeks and Gentiles, they was calling them the uncircumcision. And we didn't deal with none of them because they got kicked out of the land a long time ago. So that's why the lady said the Jews have no dealing with us. I hope that's bringing some clarification and understanding to those who may be watching this. Right? So we understand who Mashiach Yahushua is speaking to here. This is a woman of Samaria. Now let's see how he dealt with a woman of another nation. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15 now. Let's see how he dealt with another nation. Because he was dealing with his own people. She is from Samaria. She say, art thou greater than our father Jacob? Letting you know that they are the tribes of Israel. Now watch this. Matthew chapter 15, let's start at verse 21. Yeah. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon, northern Africa. And behold, a woman of Canaan, Canaan being one of the sons of who? Ham, or grandson of Ham, came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. She knew him. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. Hold up. Now the woman of Samaria, he's speaking to her, talking to her, having a conversation. Our Lord and Savior is, right? But this woman from Canaan, he answered her not a word. Let's see. And the disciples came, so his brothers came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us, because she's not an Israelite. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he told this Canaanite, this African lady, that I'm only sent to the Israelites. Hold on. Then she said, then came she and worshiped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, check this out. It is not meat, meaning it's not good, to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs, to dogs, to dogs. And that's what we call all nations outside the nation of Israel. We call you dogs, Gentiles, heathens. You understand? That's why when you read Psalms 22, right? Started at 16, Mashiach Yahushua is King David is prophesying about him, saying, dogs have compassed me round about. He's talking about those so-called Caucasians around him. The Romans had compassed the black man round about, hung him on a tree. Same thing they do to our brothers, my brothers in the so-called Americas, hanging us on trees. Ain't no different. The same modus operandi, same MO. All right. So we understand now. The Canaanite woman, he says, Mashiach Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ, didn't even speak to her. Then the disciples like, send her away. Then he told her, hey, it's not good to take the children's bread, which is blessings, and give it to dogs, meaning of the other nations. I hope you're understanding that. All right, let's get Zechariah 14. Go to the book of Zechariah chapter 14 now. And we're going to read, start at verse 18. I want to show you something here. Because the woman is from Canaan, right? Let's see something. But you know, you go to the church, Christian church, they say, God love everybody. We got Canaanites over here in Africa worshiping Caesar Borgia, a.k.a. white Jesus. It's not going to meet, your end is still going to, you're still going to get these judgments that's coming up on you. And here's the judgment of you, Canaan. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 18. And this is a prophecy when the kingdom has been established and set up. Mashiach Yahushua is back now with the Most High God, dwelling in Jerusalem with the nation of Israel. Here it is. Verse 18. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be a plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So why he's still talking about the heathen in the future? Because all you other nations are still going to be in your land, in your original land spot. And we're going to be in our land, which is Israel. Verse 19. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Verse 21. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness. Talking about Israel, northern and southern kingdom. And it says, unto the Lord of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, meaning all the other nations. And seed therein, meaning boil therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. There's going to come a day where you people of Canaan, you're not going to be in the house of the Lord. And there's prophecy on all the whole Caucasian race is going to get exterminated. You have no part in the kingdom. You've been set up to be thrown down like Egypt. That's why you rule the world right now, as it reads in Job 9:24. But your latter end is you're going to get destroyed and cut off forever, according to Obadiah 1:18, Obadiah chapter 18, verse 18, Obadiah verse 10. All right, you're going to get cut off, the nation of Edom, Esau, so-called red pink man. You red and hairy, and you love killing. That's what your job is on the planet. You are the sword of the Most High God, according to Psalms 19. That's what you do. You kill. You are the rod of the Most High God, according to Isaiah. The rod of the Assyrian. That's what the Bible calls you, the Assyrian, the Chaldean, the Egyptian, daughter of Babylon. You have many names. That great red dragon in Revelation. Be the so-called Caucasian race in totality. None will escape. All right. Now we're going to touch on one last thing. We're going to go back to Romans 11, because a lot of the Christians love to run to Romans 11 talking about they're getting grafted in. As a matter of fact, a lot of other nations love to say, I'm grafted in. Well, we're going to see. Even when you read verse 1, he's talking about his own people. Have God cast away his people? God forbid. He said, no, God ain't cast away his people. Verse 2 say, God have not cast away his people. But the church do not identify who the Israelites are today. They identify who the Jewish man is, and the Israeli, who fit no prophecy in the Bible. They stole our nationality and heritage. The Bible says the Jews will be scattered into all nations. You understand? All nations. Romans chapter 11, verse 16. Go there. Romans 11, verse 16. No, let's start at 13. For I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. We understand that the Gentiles are Jews and the northern kingdom brothers scattered. If by any means I've been provoked the immolation of them, which are my flesh, I might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciliation of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. Verse 17, and if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. So this is where we get into 2 Peter 3, where it tell you that many of y'all wrestle with the scripture because you don't understand nothing Paul's saying. Well, we're going to get a precept right here to let you know exactly what the Apostle Paul is saying. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 11. Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 16. Talking about the branches, right? Let's see who the branches are. Jeremiah 11, verse 16. The Lord called thy name a green olive tree, fair and goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he have kindled fire upon it, and the branches are broken off. Talking about the nation of Israel. Watch this. For the Lord of hosts that planted thee have pronounced evil against thee. For the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, northern and southern kingdom, have done against themselves to provoke the Lord to anger and to offer incense unto Baal. So, who is Romans 11 talking about? Let's go back. Now, let's start at verse 23. Romans 11, 23. It's not talking about you so-called white man, you so-called Chinese man, you so-called Japanese, East Indian, any nation outside of Israel. It's not talking about you. It's talking about Israel. And they also, if they abide, verse 23, Romans 11, verse 23. And they also, if they abide, not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. So how can you be grafted back into something if you were never a part of it? Again, meaning we got kicked out of the covenant. Now we back in the covenant. Verse 24. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which shall be natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? Verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, the mystery of the Gentiles. Let's see. Lest ye should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part is happened to Israel. Not to the whole world. To Israel, to the Chinese. To Israel. Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved. You see this? When you read and you read the Bible precept upon precept, you understand that the Gentiles is talking about the nation of Israel. Those who were scattered. Those who were held captives in all nations. Those who are still scattered in all nations. Even you read Joel 3 and read Joel 3. God got to come and redeem us from all these nations that we've been scattered in. So who's in Israel today? Well, you read Isaiah 63. that's going to let you know that a Mashiach, who you call Jesus Christ, he himself is coming back to bring destruction on the so-called Edomites over there. Well, not so-called, those Edomites over there. So, last precept, we're going to close out. So what I want to say to you is, if you my brothers and sisters here in Ghana, we understand that the Gentiles or Israelites, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary say, usually it means a non-Israelite. Usually. Right? So there's sets of Gentiles, two sets. You have the other nations, they're naturally Gentiles, and then you have us who were scattered into all these nations, taking on their customs and their ways and their philosophies and their mental mindsets. Now we become Gentiles because we've taken off the law, statutes, and commandments and placed on Christianity, Islam, Buddha, Krishna, anything outside of this Bible. This Bible is only constructed and consisted of laws, statutes, and commandments. There's no religion in here. Excuse me. Those who came and put us in slavery, those are the ones who are the authors of all religions. All you got to do is Google any religion. You'll come up with one author, the so-called white man. Even Islam, is the author is the so-called white man. He invented Islam as well. All right, let's read our last precept. Revelations chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the new holy city, Salakia, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from out of heaven, prepared as a bride adored for her husband. So here's the new kingdom. This is the book of Revelations, the last book. Jump over to verse 12. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, of Israel, of Israel. And with that, I say shalom.